Okay, I'm going to do a voiceover because it's so windy in Dallas you can barely hear the damn engine over the wind. So there's a belt tensioner, and you could hear it. It almost sounded like a turbo whine, zzz, from the, especially when you're driving by something. You diagnose it by putting something on there, putting a flathead on there, and putting it on that bolt. That's a 14 mil bolt. You turn to the right with a breaker bar, loosen that thing, pull the belt off pretty easily, and it should not have any play basically. I don't remember what the specs are for those smaller bolts, probably 10. And anyway, yeah, I could hear it, especially when I drove by stuff. Oh, and you could put a flathead, like a long flathead on that bolt right there, and put it up to your ear to listen to it, or a mechanic stethoscope. Here I'm just talking about the old part, which was not a Ford part. It had already been replaced, further leading me to think it's not a 40,000 mile engine as the junkyard said it was. It has some play in it. Makes a little bit of noise when you spin it. New one, the Ford part was about 50 bucks on Rock Auto. Doesn't have any play, totally silent when you would spin it. But people on AutoZone.com and other websites like that said that the $20 Duralast part broke after was going out. The bearings were going out after like 2 years. So I thought it was a good idea to get the Ford part. That's seems to be the case. Here I was just showing the bolts that came out of the engine. I used a little blue Loctite. I really didn't use a whole lot of torque on them, even though there's about 3/4 of an inch of threads going in there. For some reason I didn't feel comfortable. I need to check them again, maybe to make sure they're not backing out or anything like that. It's been maybe 500 miles since then. No problems. So here I was just saying, after you put the belt back on, obviously be sure to make sure everything's lined up. It's pretty easy to tell in the grooved pulleys, but on some of the smooth pulleys it's just a good idea to make sure that they're on there pretty evenly. Now is a good time to check to see how that idler pulley spins, not the tensioner pulley, that idler pulley, because mine was spun like crap, so I just replaced it about 2 weeks later. Last thing is, instead of just firing it up and going back in there and looking, probably a better idea is just crank it a couple turns and then go back and look. That way if the belt's not on there and it's flown off, you will know and it won't have damaged anything.